It's been over a year since the book's Aftermath Empire's End, and Thrawn told us that Palpatine worked with Grand Admiral Thrawn to chart the dangerous unknown regions of the galaxy. Last month's Thrawn Alliances started to tell us how the Chiss have come to survive and explore in an area of space that is rumored to be full of countless threats. I'll be talking about spoilers for the book if you haven't read it yet. The basics are the Chiss Ascendancy travels through hyperspace with blind instruments. They use Force-sensitive children, usually girls, to sense any stars, asteroids, planets, or other obstacles in their way, and they course-correct while traveling at the speed of light. It sounds insanely dangerous and difficult, but these Force-sensitive children sound like they are especially gifted with precognition and little else. When Thrawn explains the technique to Darth Vader, even he sounds surprised at the risks they take. However, when the situation calls for it, Vader is able to prove he is still a fantastic pilot, and he skillfully navigates a Star Destroyer through hyperspace without calculations. About half of the book is about finding and recovering a group of Chiss Force-sensitives who had been kidnapped. Funnily enough, the Chiss word for their child Force users roughly translates to Skywalkers. When I initially read Thrawn Alliances, I thought the idea of these Chiss kids could be problematic. When Grand Admiral Thrawn is defeated by the Bendu in Season 3 of Star Wars Rebels, it's because the Force is something he cannot fully understand or anticipate. So when it's revealed that the Chiss very heavily rely on Force-sensitive kids to travel in their part of the galaxy, I raised some eyebrows. It's also implied that Thrawn himself used to be a Skywalker. But having thought on this more, I think it works out okay. I do really like the idea of a very select group of Chiss Force users, and the idea that it only manifests in children and then wears off as they age is an interesting and new take on the Force. What's more is it sounds like they can only use the Force to see the very near future. They have precognition, but nothing more, at least as far as we've been told. So if we're to assume that Thrawn was Force-sensitive as a child, his knowledge of the Force is still very limited. Until he met Anakin during the Clone Wars, he may have thought the Force could only help you see the future and nothing more. Something like the Bendu would still be completely outside of his understanding. To build off this a little more, in Star Wars Legends, Chiss Force users were still very rare, and Force sensitivity was considered to be a shameful property. It was not encouraged to grow in any aspect of the Force in their society, and anyone caught doing so within the Chiss Ascendancy would be executed. If they were found to be Force-sensitive but not actively using the Force, they would be exiled or allowed to take medication to suppress their abilities. So it sounds like the Chiss of the new canon have a very different relationship with the Force. Gotta say, I prefer the new way of thinking because, like I said, I think it's a really unique interpretation and use of the Force, and it also makes the Chiss seem far less barbaric. As for the future of the unknown regions, I hope we continue to learn more about them, be it through the Chiss or their young Skywalkers, or simply through the navigational data they collected and provided to the Empire. I don't think we've seen the last of Grand Admiral Thrawn, and in Legends his story was almost always tied with that area of space, so I hope we get to explore them and see more of the Ascendancy in future stories. But what do you guys think of the Chiss and their Skywalkers? Do you think it's cool or silly? Let me know in the comments. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and consider checking out our Patreon page. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.